Last time I saw you, you were dancing on stage with Grimace or something.
Yeah. It was a good time. We had fun with it. It was a wild day. I feel like we lived a couple different lives during that day, but it was good. I'm glad that we're all here at spring now, and well, most of us, and we're getting things going so we can start a new year and hopefully have some great memories from that as well.
The bar's been raised in terms of expectations.
Yeah.
Do you embrace that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime you go out and do what we did this off season, that expectations are there, and obviously even with what we did last year with the team that we had, we were able to kind of set a new standard for this organization, for this team, and Steve wants to continue that, and so does everybody from top to bottom in this organization. So, NLCS last year set the bar. Then this off season, going and doing what we did, obviously set it even higher. So, we're going out. We're trying to win a World Series. There's no doubt about it, and we're going to start preparing for that right now.
Brandon, a couple weeks ago at Amazing Day, you said you were kind of waiting on the running part of your offseason.
Yeah.
Based on your foot, what's the status of that?
Yeah, just finished running. I'm at like 91% now, so we're in a really good spot. It's good place to be. We're trending upwards. We're going to keep stacking good days on good days. Really what you want to do is just not push it too hard right now because it's trending in the right direction, and so we'll take those steps accordingly, but it's in a really good spot right now.
How did you wind up treating it? It's like an orthotics thing for your foot, or how do you?
Well, yeah, orthotics are part of it. I had orthotics last year, but we did a lot of PT on it this off season. We did some shock therapy stuff on it. We did a lot of soft tissue stuff. We got a PRP injection in there, and then worked a lot on strengthening the foot. So there was a lot of elements that went into it. Also, trying to find different cleats that work, and so. Anyways, it wasn't a one-pronged approach. There was many parts to it, and I feel like it's really done a good job. This organization, I feel like for a while now has really done a good job with the medical staff, and so I've been able to be down here and be able to train and do all the PT and everything down here, and obviously now being at 91%, I feel really good about where we're at and how much time we have before the season starts.
What's the difference between 91 and 90?
1%, man.
Yeah, 1%. Yeah, I mean,
what are you actually measuring?
You're measuring your top speed that you've gotten to and what percentage you've gotten of that. So yeah, so they have all kinds of information in here. So yeah, you wear trackable devices that can measure it down to .01, it's probably 91 point something, but they just round it. Yeah, at that point they just round it. But
is that the catapult vest that tells
you
that?
Yeah.
You didn't take your usual spring training approach and
especially even with the planner. I think it's probably safe to say that even though I'm around 90%, 91% now, even though I'm around there, I still think. It's been 3 years of playing 150 plus games plus playoffs, and so if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of deal. So we will still plan accordingly like that, but even more so with the planner. I think we're going to stick to that schedule.
What do you think it'll be like the first week, 2 weeks?
I would guess somewhere in the beginning of March. Okay. Yeah.
Is the 91%, is that just because you don't want to try to go to 100 yet?
No, it's a progression. Yeah. So like last time was 80, 85, and I ended up doing 87. So this time was like 90, and I ended up doing 91. So it's a progression that we're moving up, and like I said, you want to just keep stacking good days. You don't want to have a step backwards here. So as long as you're able to just keep getting more load on it each and every day, and do more and have the cuts and everything, like do the agility. When you can build this up more, it'll be able to be in a better spot come game time.
What's it going to be like having Juan Soto as a teammate?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. He's been a thorn in our side. At playing against him for a long time now, and obviously have loved him as a player. But he's one of those guys that you hate to compete against. But I'm hoping I love him as a teammate, right? Those guys are the best, and he's someone that we're looking forward to having in the middle of our lineup, and really excited for him to get down here. was able to spend a little bit of time with him in 22 when him and I were down at Boris's thing in Miami. And he was a great guy, worked really hard there, and I expect a lot of the same from what I'm hearing from everyone.
What was your reaction when you found out Pete was back?
I loved it. Obviously, him and I have been together a long time, and anytime you had 30 to 40 homers in your lineup, you got to love that, especially with the lineup that we have going right now. So, I think he's going to have a lot of success hitting behind Soto there, and we're looking forward to getting him here and getting things
Were
going.
you starting to get nervous it wasn't going to happen?
I was just trying to hold out hope, but like everyone else, it kind of seemed like that time had come and passed, and I was just like, I'd love to see you back, and just kept telling him that, but it just seemed like they were a little bit far apart from everything that I was hearing from the outside looking in, and we were glad we were able to thread that needle, because I think it makes our lineup even that more dangerous. Much more dangerous.
What's your number one priority now? Being a ball player or being a dad?
Yeah, I gotta be a dad first and foremost. But I'm obviously trying to take care of everything here at the job. Plenty of people do it every day, where they have very demanding jobs and they're able to be good fathers or wives and mothers as well. So I've got to be a good husband. I've got to be a good father, and then I get to be hopefully a great baseball player after that. So it's something that it was really fun, but still learning. I mean, we'll be learning every day, but she's a joy, and she's smiling a lot now, so getting to have a little more opportunity with her awake and not crying. So it's been fun. We learning every day, and I'll continue to try and learn every day.
On the foot, what have doctors and/or trainers told you about whether plantar comes back or if that's a risk or anything?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can, but a lot of it goes into like your foot strength and like what you do to prevent it going forward. So, for me, a lot of it's going to fall on cleat choice and taking care of my foot, making sure I get the soft tissue work done, keeping it strong, and then doing the PT work afterwards. There's definitely a chance that it can come back, but our goal is to try and be trying to be working ahead of the schedule rather than be reactive to it, and so try and keep it from coming back. But there's nothing that says that it can't, but definitely you're trying to do everything that I did this off season in order to keep it from happening again.
Do you think you might DH a little more this year just to get some rest?
I mean, it's a possibility, but I also am confident in everything that we've done this off season, that I really think we can kind of put this in the rearview mirror if we really just nip it in the butt now. Make sure we don't rush it, but we get it back to full strength. I feel confident about it, but that's obviously going to be up to Carlos, and we'll continue to talk about that as the season goes on. There's going to be things that come up. I mean, every year there are. There's little things that happen here and there, and DHing is not out of the realm of possibility in some of those situations.
Looking back on October, how much pain were you actually in on a daily basis?
Well, I mean, there at the end, for the last two games, I'd say last game of the Phillies and then the Dodgers series, I mean, it was pretty good pain, 8 or 9 out of 10 when you were on it. But I was just trying to run on the outside of my foot, and just like basically running with my foot kind of like flexed like a C and kind of just run on the outside part of it, because I was able to get through it like that. But I mean, yeah, when you got it pretty good, it didn't feel very good, but you're in that situation and you just do whatever you can at that moment, and just trying to help us however I could. So I would love to not deal with that again.
They never caused it?
I mean, it's kind of wear and tear kind of deal, but also I had a time back in May where it kind of got a little bit worse, and it was a lot of activity and it was a lot of swings, and then I just kind of woke up the next day and it was like, yeah, I probably did a little bit too much on it, but also at that time I wasn't doing all the foot stuff that I've been doing on it this off season. So a little bit of living and learning for sure, but I was able to maintain it really well from May until like that second to last game against Philadelphia in the playoffs. So then something happened. I don't really know what happened there that made it so much worse. But like I said, I'm going to try and avoid all of that to the best of my ability.
Commiserate with Freddie Freeman at all?
You know, yeah, he was, he was not moving very well either, and you know, we were both just doing whatever we could, you know, at that time, and you know, I would have loved to be on the other end of it and be able to, you know, for us to have that little break in between and then go, you know, feel better heading into it, but. You know, he's a grinder, you know, he's one of the most respected guys in the game. And so, yeah, we talked about it a little bit over there.
What was that conversation?
He was just like, hey, we're two peas in a pod over here, huh? You know, like, he was like, neither of us can run. So this
Don't
is
take a
funny.
lead and don't have to cover the bag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
play in the outfield, though.
No, that's true. That's true. But you know, he was having fun with it. He's always, you know, I don't know if he has a bad mood. It's not like I get to be around him all the time, but anytime he's on the field, he's in a good mood. So it's he's always having fun.
Other than being in the progression, does your foot feel normal right now?
Yeah, it does. It does.
How long
And
has it felt that way?
We probably turned the corner 3 or 4 weeks ago. So yeah, it's just, I mean, it's happened just in time, you know, and that's great. But it does. It feels pretty normal right now, and so it's great because they're having to kind of pull back on me a little bit more, which is the way that you want it.
Looking back, how much did the foot affect you at the plate last year?
Yeah, it wasn't good. I mean, you know, obviously would have loved to have not been dealing with that in the Dodgers series, but I was, and you know, it was what it was. I hit some balls hard, hit them right at people sometimes. That happens, but you know, it obviously didn't help the way things were going. I was having a pretty good postseason until that point. So, but you know, that's life. That's the way things happen. You got to roll with it. And I felt like I was more help on the field than off of it, and tried to do my best.
You had a bit of a power surge 2 years ago. Last year that dipped a little bit. What do you want to do this year? Do you think there's a way you can harness that power again, especially with your foot healthy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it dipped. I mean, 24 home runs and 23 home runs is not it's not too much of a dip, but I mean, I'm looking to be a little more consistent this year. You know, and so just working on trying to be, you know, just be well-rounded. What did fall off a little bit last year was the on-base percentage, but I also kind of ran into some bad luck early, and we had an average difference where normally I was in like the 260s to 270s. This last year, it was obviously significantly lower. So if you bring up that average, then the on-base percentage goes up as well, and now you're sitting in that same spot. So for me, just trying to take into account where I really felt like things went awry last year was second half, right after the All-Star break. You know, got pitched tough for a couple weeks, kind of made some bad adjustments. Had a little bit of a nick on the thumb with a little nerve thing. Just made a little bit of too much adjustment, and it ended up being a 6-week hole that I kind of like put myself in. If I would have just probably stayed the course, it would have been fine. And so that's a lesson learned. You know, you continue to learn every single year and take something out of it. So taking that from last year, trying to be a little more consistent this year, and you know, we'll continue to try and be better.
Has Carlos mentioned to you the possibility of hitting cleanup?
He has not, no, but he talked with me a lot last year about if I had any reservations hitting anywhere in the lineup, and I told him it really doesn't matter to me. You know, my at-bats are dictated by the situation in the game, and so he should feel comfortable, and we'll continue to have those conversations, but putting me anywhere in the lineup he wants.